there and where he was at. Plus, he was sitting with, I forgot the guy's name, but he was also there with Larry David, the writer and creator for Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a secret, you know what I mean? So it could that's what I'm saying. Like there is a possibility that could have been a thing where it's like, hey, at this point in time in the game, I'm gonna be there. We don't even know that could have been fucking Bronny recording that shit. We don't know who the fuck. It could have been Bryce. Could have been Zuri. Could have been Savannah. We don't know who. We don't know who.
So yeah, bitch ass nigga.
Yeah, we don't know who recorded
Get
that. We don't know who recorded that shit and put it on the timeline, right? But all we know is that it happened. Fast forward, we get to this to LeBron linking up with Pat McAfee for the, as Pat McAfee called it, the LeBron forsation. Is it what he called it?
Bro, a whole hour and 30-something minutes of just shit talking ESPN and Stephen A.
So this is the thing.
I was like, bro, like he literally like, and then I started thinking, I was like, did they have a game in Indiana?
Yes, so they had a
game.
So
that was
so they had a game in Indiana. So the day that
I said, I don't see Bron flying from LA to Indiana just for this.
It was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So it was recorded the day before the game because the game, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. So I think the game was Wednesday.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah. So anyway, but he recorded it and then they did it and then they dropped it on the day of the game or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, he sits down with Pat McAfee, and I know my outlook might be a little bit different from yours and others, but like I look at it as it's ESPN playing both sides.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN is in bed with LeBron. They've been in bed with LeBron since the decision. You look around, it's a lot of clutch media affiliates that work at ESPN. Mm-hmm. Like you got it's just they're all spread around, right? What reason does LeBron have to go and sit down with Pat McAfee?
Zero. I thought it was the weirdest shit ever.
Zero. There's no reason, right?
I said, Pat, he ain't even invited Pat on his shit.
But it's not even that. Pat's not even a basketball guy.
That's what I mean by it. So it would have made sense had, and I hate to cut you off in your point, but I just want to say this before I forget it. It would have made more sense if LeBron went and did this had he, during football season, when they was recording on his show, uninterrupted and all of that.
Yeah.
When they was doing that, if bring Pat on. It's football season. We all know LeBron loves football season. Uh-huh. Football was really his first love. Basketball happened to be something he was really good at.
Yeah. Facts.
And he ended up choosing basketball because of that.
Yeah.
He could have went either way, and everybody knows that. But to me, I was like, this would have made more sense if Pat would have came on his shit during football season. But as we all know, Pat's schedule during football season is...
It's hectic. It's definitely hectic, but this is...
Pat would have squared that end up.
But
he would have swung.
Oh, yeah, no.
To go hang out with LeBron and Mav and all of them.
So this is what I'm saying as far as it feels like there's another play. So Stephen A. just signed his contract. Mm-hmm. He just signed it was reported, $100 million, $20 million a year. A lot of money, right?
Whole lot.
A lot of money. I don't want to say he got lowballed, but he settled because it was reported last year I think early last year, like late 2023, when the negotiations were going to start, is that he was looking for something to rival what Pat McAfee got. Mm-hmm. But Pat McAfee's deal isn't from ESPN. They just inherited it. So that's a little bit different, but he wanted something that rivaled that. So he was looking for $125 per year. That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
So to us, either way, $100 or $125 million, nigga, that's, what was that, 9 figures, 8 figures, whatever the fuck it is, 8 figures.
It's life-changing.
It's life-changing. You dig what I'm saying? Like, to us, cool.
You dig what I'm saying, pimp?
You know what I'm saying? To us, we like, shit, nigga, you could take a zero off that motherfucker. Give me 10. I don't give a fuck.
No, I need everything God got for me.
Take 2 zeros off that motherfucker. Just give me $1 million, right? So we would look at that different. But as somebody like Stephen A., who has been doing it and has the cachet, and he's helped build and elevate ESPN to the point of where ESPN is today over the past 15 years.
Yeah.
120, if I can't settling for 100 when I'm asking for 125, which in my eyes would probably still be a deal. that, I don't want to say a red flag, but it causes me to think. It's like, okay, the negotiations lasted almost 2 years. About a year and a half, about 16, 18 months. Negotiations lasted for over a year and a half. He took less than what he was initially asking for. Then when they spoke about it on air, he didn't say how much he got, but he was like, those reports ain't true. I got less than that.
Yeah.
So he might have got less than 100, but I'm going to go off what was reported that he got 100. Now, also what was in his deal was he would only be doing First Take. His NBA countdown shit that he normally do, that he's going to do this year as well. He's not doing that next year no more. That shit's dead. All the extra stuff that he might have been doing and going to his traveling to certain games, that's not going to be a part of his contract no more. So they cut out a lot of the stuff that a year or two ago they probably would have had to pay him the 125 for. They cut out mad shit, kind of icing him out. ESPN's also kind of, they're moving on from NBA. So NBA is still going to come on ESPN, ABC, but NBA is really going to be in bed heavy with NBC and Amazon Prime. Those are going to be their shits. Like that's where it's going to be at. And who knows? Eventually, the finals will probably fuck around and be on NBC, Peacock. Which all these moves line up. This is why ESPN got rid of Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson last year, because it's like we're distancing ourselves from the NBA. We don't really care about the NBA Finals product, which everybody loved. People love Mike Breen with Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Like that was the three. That was the highlight of ESPN broadcasted games. Like, you know how Turner, TNT, they got the Inside NBA. Everybody want to see Ernie, Chuck, Kenny, Shaq. They want to see them, right? Well, when people came to watch the marquee NBA games, we want to hear Mike Breen with Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Yeah. They didn't care about the product. They didn't care about the product no more. So we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna start to diminish and sully the product gradually as time goes, so that when we can really push away from the table and I want to deal with the NBA no more, it's easy for us to do that because we haven't invested in it like we wanted to keep it. Right. You know what I'm saying? You don't get rid of Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy at the same time if something else isn't in the play. Yeah. At least that's how I looked at it. So now we fast forward to now. ESPN has already cut ties with MLB. The MLB and ESPN, well, I don't say ESPN, MLB and Disney don't have a relationship anymore. That's number one. Number two, it's already been set that the NBA and ESPN, or NBA and Disney, are kind of getting a little bit separate. Of course, they're not going to be fully done with each other, but the investment's not the same. Yeah. The NFL and ESPN are back in talks for ESPN. Well, excuse me, I keep saying ESPN, but Disney. Disney is in talks. Which is ESPN? Anyway, they're in talks to get the media coverage rights to the NFL Network and Red Zone. So basically what would happen was, if that happens, they are under the ESPN umbrella, the NFL Network and Red Zone. That is major. They're discussing a $5 billion deal. Yeah. $5 billion, right? In return, part of the deal, the NFL gets equity in ESPN. So now it goes from just being a deal, now it's really a partnership. Because we want our product that y'all have control over to do really, really good, because then it makes us more money. So as ESPN grows, the NFL, who have equity in that. You see what I'm saying? Kind of goes hand in hand. So
follow me.
Yeah. So it's not even really a deal. It's really a partnership, right?
He said, now I'm saying all that to say, LeBron James and Stephen A.
Stay with me now.
Bro, it's building this motherfucker's plot.
So look.
It's building this plot.
Who's the biggest personality on ESPN? Stephen A. fucking Smith. We all know that. Today he is. Tomorrow he's not. And I'm not saying literally tomorrow, but as we get further and further and further down the line, the biggest personality on ESPN is Pat McAfee. Stephen A. 1A, Pat McAfee 1B. They're really neck and neck, right? Yeah. Happened overnight. And I don't know if people stop following this, but Stephen A. and Pat McAfee, they got a little beef.
Yeah, they do.
They got a little beef. It's not a beef to where, oh, I hate you, I don't want to see you win. It's a beef of they were supposed to. ESPN was going to work on something to get something to where Pat and Stephen A were going to be potentially working together on something. They couldn't come to terms because of let's just say creative differences.
Yeah.
And I can imagine what the creative difference was is, nigga, who's going to be the lead? Pat's looking at it like, I don't need Stephen A. Stephen A's looking at it like, I don't need Pat. All right. ESPN's looking at it like, we like what Pat's doing.
Yeah.
What Pat's doing isn't costing us a thing. His production, his studio, it's all his shit. All we have to do is distribute it.
Yeah.
That's it. We distribute his show for 2 hours a day. That's it. Anything that he does now, yeah, he might use our studio for something every now and then if he comes to New York. Mm-hmm. But the camera crew, the cameras, the mics, that's all his shit.
Yeah. And instead of really paying somebody to come in, use our shit to do the same thing he's doing at his shit, like, he's already got everything set up. He don't have to go nowhere. All we got to do is just tap into the broadcast.
Exactly. And so even as far as paying the people,
which makes sense because a lot of those football shows.
Yeah, and even as far as paying the people on Pat, so like it's like when he brings on his guests, like when he pays Nick Saban and Aaron Rodgers, that's his own money. Yeah. His staff, that's his own money. Now he gets a check from ESPN, but that's it. ESPN doesn't have they don't pay for nothing else as far as the Pat McAfee show, as far as it is produced, and as far as that goes. So Pat McAfee is eventually gonna be the biggest name ESPN. He might already be, right?
Yeah.
And with ESPN moving on from Stephen A. Smith, moving on from the NBA, I'm not saying that there's no need for Stephen A. Smith, but it's like the NBA isn't the pinnacle of ESPN coverage right now. It's not. Like ESPN has made it widely known that they're gonna start focusing more on college sports. A little bit more. They already did, but they're going to start doing it more, which is why they got the SEC network deal. So now all SEC games, because remember, SEC used to come on CBS, football, basketball, shit's over with. Yeah. It's all ESPN now. That matters. So they're focusing on SEC. They not saying that it's not warranted, but the SEC basketball conference this year had 14 teams in the NCAA tournament. They made fucking history. It's not a coincidence that it's the first year that they were in bed with ESPN. It's not a coincidence, okay? All this shit matters. Showing teams on TV all the time, it matters. Like every time I turn on ESPN, I'm seeing SEC schools play basketball. I'm automatically going to feel like they're great, they're good, and they were good. SEC was good in basketball. It's probably been the best basketball conference over the past 5 years. 14 teams in the tournament is insane to me.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That used to be the Big East.
But they never had 14, though. 14 is not the 14 crazy.
No, the Big East, bro.
Never have 14 is a record.
I know it's a record.
But the Big East definitely had a lot. Yeah, the Big East about 10, 11.
14 definitely is like
10, 11, maybe 12, but 14, it's like the 14th best team in the conference.
That took over.
It's crazy. So it's like, all right, cool. So ESPN is already pivoting away from the NBA. If they get this deal, Pat McAfee will do the same thing that he did for College Game Day. He's going to save it. I'm not saying College Game Day was going to go away, but College Game Day had lost its luster. You got to think. Lee Corso was kind of the energy. He was the guy, but as he got older and as he got sicker, he couldn't do what he was doing over the past years and really kind of carrying the show with the headgear and being kind of like the comedic guy of it. So you bring in Pat, you bring back Pat. Pat's doing it. People love him. The kids love him. He can relate with him. He got the whole kicking the field goal thing to give out the scholarship money. He's doing his thing. He kind of revived.
Definitely revived
College Game Day on Saturday.
Bro, because those 2 years, I remember they brought him on just like as a special guest.
Yes.
And he killed it.
Smacking it.
Crushed it as a special guest.
Yeah.
And it was just like, bro, what the hell? So, and then from there, it was like kind of slow appearances every now and then. And then it was just them. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, like the next season that started, boom, Pat McAfee was there every weekend.
Yeah. And but it needed that.
He's been there for the last 3 seasons?
So now think.
3-4 seasons?
So now think. ESPN has Sunday NFL Countdown. Mm-hmm. Every Sunday.
Yeah.
Cool. It's decent. They added Green. You got Rex Ryan. Randy was on. I don't know if Randy will be back next year. Because I know he was dealing with the liver cancer. I think he beat it, but I don't know if he'll be back or not. Hopefully he will.
Yeah.
But let's say that they get this deal done with NFL.
Yeah.
Pat will be involved in something, whether it will be the Monday night countdown or it will be the Sunday countdown during the morning, or it could be both. But he will be the face, because you always need a face. You always need a guy that you can attach whatever you're doing with that.
You think he'll Adam Sandler that shit?
What do you mean?
Bring his people?
No, he wouldn't.
Like how Adam Sandler does all types of movies, but uses the same people in every movie.
No, but that wouldn't be the issue. That wouldn't be a problem because he would still do his show every day. So Monday, they just like they do now. They do shit on Monday, right? Like sometimes they be in the same, like they'll be at the stadium and they'll do a show from the stadium. Like they have done that before. Not saying all the time, but they have done that for football. So that wouldn't be nothing that I don't think they would stop. But he would be the cornerstone face of the NFL product, because that would be ESPN's quote unquote selling point. It's like, yeah, we got a guy that we can build this around.
Yeah.
Kind of like how ESPN, we can build this stuff around Stephen A. Smith. Like Stephen A. is involved or was involved with almost anything NBA, whether it was the coverage, it was calling him on the phone, or a big trade happened, they call him on the phone, he's talking, like all type of shit, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that shit's gonna start to change. But you watch ESPN, I see them as UMG in this situation. And I'm dead ass. I look at Stephen A. You can say Stephen A. is Drake, and you can say Bron is Kendrick. And LeBron had no reason to go to Pat McAfee. I think that was a call from ESPN. Now, if Pat McAfee is hip or not hip, whatever, but he's not going to turn down a LeBron James interview. Nobody's going to turn down a LeBron James interview. Like, you'd be foolish to do that, right?
I mean, and Pat, his show is slowly becoming the place where athletes, coaches, people go to get their shit off.
Facts. And so,
because this is technically a YouTube channel.
It is, which is why they had the one that came on air was censored, but then they dropped the uncensored version on YouTube as well. Yeah. So you Pat McAfee, you get the LeBron interview. Bron going to Pat McAfee is like, oh, I'm looking at Stephen A. Oh, you think you running shit? Yeah. Well, you know what I'm about to do? You know what we about to do? We gonna give your main opposition the biggest interview. Mm-hmm. The biggest interview he's ever had, and the biggest interview since nigga my decision. Ain't been an ESPN ain't had an interview air on their airways from somebody like me in whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you ain't a part of that. Yeah. But the person that you think is below you, who's about to be the face of this network, I'm gonna give it to him. Yeah. Now his cachet is through the roof, through the roof, through the roof. So now, motherfuckers look at Pat, they're like, damn, he linking up with Nick Saban. He linking up with Aaron Rodgers. He linking up with Bill Belichick. And he got Bron in the tuck? Damn. Yep. Damn. Stephen A. can't say that. So now ESPN is like, I mean, if anything, we can just send guys, we can send basketball players to go talk to Pat. Yeah. They don't have to say. As a matter of fact, the basketball players might be more willingly to go sit down with Pat than to sit down with you.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? What? When Fred Taylor and them left and created the Pivot, and then Brandon Marshall and them was left with their podcast, mm-hmm. And then it was just like, we can get people you can't, but we can also get people that you can't either. Yeah. It's kind of got that essence to it. To
an extent, because I think Stephen A. is aware. I think he's been aware, not even just based off this. I think he's been aware since the negotiations, like, oh, they might try to ice me out. Yeah. Because it's getting to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's getting to that point with any contracts and negotiator, because they did it to Skip. They didn't want to give Skip what Skip was asking for, and they told him to go out there and find it. You know why? Because they felt like, we got Stephen A. Smith, and we feel like we can do the same, if not better, with him. we don't need you anymore, bro.
Yeah.
So if you think you're gonna go find that somewhere else, go find it. But we're good. We'll stay with Stephen A. Smith, and that's what they did, and it worked out for them. It literally worked out. That's literally what's happening here. They're looking at Pat McAfee as he's Stephen A. Smith 15 years ago, and they looking at Stephen A. Smith like he's Skip Bayless, and they like, nigga, we don't need you, bro.
Yeah.
Because at that time, 15 years ago, the NBA was taking off. The super teams. Bron went to Miami. The Heatles, like the NBA was peaking, going crazy, and it's still doing good, but it's not doing what it was doing back then, as far as like literally looking like the most watched and most beloved sport, as far as just social media and what people wanted to talk about.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna hold you. If the NBA ain't on TNT, I'm not watching.
You don't want to watch it, right? But about 15 years ago, I'm not watching them. Bro, we would get the New York Knicks Melo versus the Heat on a Wednesday or Friday night. I'm tuning in. Yeah. Now I don't give a fuck about watching Tyler Hero play Jalen Brunson. The fuck? Cut this shit off, man. Like, but that's the sentiment.
I feel like it's always been like that, though. Nobody really watches the NBA until after All-Star Weekend, anyways, because football goes so long.
Well, but it used to be matchup heavy. So like we used to look at match. We used to look ahead, and
yeah, I mean, Christmas. And so Christmas was always a big deal,
and that's another thing. So like we haven't had Christmas jerseys in how long? We used to get Christmas jerseys every year. We used to get Christmas jerseys, St. Patrick's jerseys, nigga, MLK Day jersey. Like, bro, we used to get jerseys.
Black History
Month. We used to get jerseys for everything, nigga. Spanish night, Heritage night, and like all type of. We don't do that shit no more. Yeah. They don't do that. They rarely. It's like it's lost its recipes, bro. And like we used to look for matchups, bro. We used to. Oh shit, Chris Paul is playing Steph Curry.
Adam Silver?
He's a part of it. It's a combination of he's at fault. He's at fault. The players are at fault, and I will say that the media is at fault as well.
David Stern would have never let this shit happen.
David Stern wouldn't have let a lot of shit happen. David Stern wouldn't have let a lot of shit happen. So Adam Silver is not what do you call it? Omitted from any type of blame, but he definitely has. He's a part of it, But yeah, bro, I'm just looking at this situation like I feel like, and it just seems like ESPN is setting it up to when it comes down to move on from Stephen A. Smith, there's no hiccup, right? Mm-hmm. And there might not be no blowback because honestly, I don't think he finishes this deal. I think he either leaves or he gets fired before this deal is up. Are they agreed to part ways? But yes, I don't think Stephen A. Smith finishes out this deal with ESPN. And if he does finish out this deal, when that deal is approaching to be done, he'll be, I'm not coming back. These are my last days at ESPN.
So you think First Take is dying?
I think they'll keep First Take because it's a staple. But it's a reason why he never was adamant about finding another co-host. He wanted to keep it a moving chair.
Yeah.
There's always people in and out. You got your certain days. You on this week. Like,
or you got your certain times a year.
It's been like that since Max left, right? I think he's done that on purpose.
Which makes sense. I feel like his ratings are way higher and better football season than they are going into basketball season and the end of basketball season.
Yeah.
And then baseball season, it's like Stephen A's low-key non-existent.
Yeah. Well, baseball season in the summer, he really not there. He takes his vacation this month. You know, that's just with anything though. That's their down year. Their down time of the year is the summer. But yeah, like just watching and paying attention to the shit, bro. It's like I don't think he's gonna finish the contract, bro. Like I really feel like that, and it could be by the end of this whole fucking beef with Bron, because Stephen A. hasn't said anything, but he has alluded to like, bro, I could really say some shit and really fuck this shit up.
Yeah.
Like I know some shit that the public don't know. Not even don't know like I know some shit basketball related. Like maybe, a little bit of roids, you know what I'm saying? A little bit. And I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro, can we have a realistic conversation about LeBron James just for 2 minutes?
Go ahead.
He's been in the league for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and not even just a guy that's in the league for 22 years. He's been that nigga for 22 years, right? Amazing. Mm-hmm. Astra-fucking-nomical, right? Drake was Drake for about 15 years. Still going, but Drake is Drake, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is under the assumption, and if you understand anything about the music industry, hey, Drake doesn't become Drake without getting help. Yeah. Drake doesn't maintain being Drake without getting help. Whether it's help from people in the studio or if it's help from the people who run these labels and these radio stations and they pressing these buttons and shit. Like, we understand there's help. Yeah. Right? We can all agree, we can see it. Nigga, you get help with your records. Most top artists get help with their records. Yeah. That's what it is. All right. Why is it so taboo? Or when people say, hey, I think LeBron at some point or currently took PEDs of some sort, whether it was EPOs or whatever, he did that because you don't play at this high of a level that long.
I mean, people
without it.
Ain't nobody not said that.
No, they've said it, but every time that it's said, the rebuttal is, you ain't got to prove. You ain't got to prove. And it's like, that's the point of them taking this shit. They're not gonna openly take it. Like, bro, y'all, the public is weird. The public only requests proof of something when they like somebody. If they don't like, if majority of the public didn't like LeBron, there would be no need to have proof that he was on PEDs. You would just believe it because your eyes and looking at the context, you'd be like, yo, something's not right with this.
All it would take is the right person to say that.
But that's what I'm saying. There are some people that can.
Think about the downfall of like athletes, like Barry Bonds. Yeah. Like nobody, it took the right commentator or sports analyst to be like.
But the thing about Barry
same thing with Mark McGwire. The same thing with.
Not a thing, but I'm gonna tell you about the difference between those two.
With Ryan Garcia and shit like that, like people who's on PEDs and all that shit, like something's off. It is too good. Too good.
So with Barry, even before he got popped for the PEDs, if you ask, I'm not a baseball historian, but if you ask anybody who like really, really watch and love baseball, they'll tell you that motherfucker was a Hall of Famer before the PEDs. Yeah. He was already a 4-time, 5-time Golden Glove. Like, he was really that nigga already. Right, he just took it over the top.
I remember I went to the Cincinnati Red game, bro, just to see, hoping that he would break the record at the game.
Yeah, he didn't do it.
Nah,
he didn't do it. No, but the way
they walked him the whole game, bro.
And that's the thing, and that's how people talk about Barry Bonds. They like, bro, like with or without PEDs, that motherfucker has one of the greatest. You could take away the season with PEDs, still one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah.
So they're like, a lot of people feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, he's not going to, but they feel like he should because they're like, bro, erase those years. Mm-hmm. Look at his resume. Yeah, he's in there. You know what I'm saying? Mark McGwire, that's a little different conversation. Like I said, I'm not a baseball historian, so I can't really speak on Mark McGwire, but I just know about the Barry Bonds is you could take away them steroids and he's still. And I don't think Bron has been on any PEDs his entire career, right? But I do think if at any time he was, it would be within the last 5 years. He's 40.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not like, bro, like just naturally, I don't care how much money you spend. And you know, like it's been a myth that, LeBron spends $1 million on his body every year. And he confirmed things. That's not even true. He's like, I spend money. He's like, I definitely invest, but not $1 million.
$1 million.
I don't know where they got that number from. But that's
what I'm saying. A lot of myths on that show.
But that's what I'm saying though. People been saying that for years, and nobody's ever questioned if it was true or not. They just say, well, damn, he does spend $1 million on his body. He get into the best shape ever. Nobody questioned it, right? I didn't need no proof that he spends $1 million. The proof that he spends $1 million on his body was his play. Right? I can also say that the proof that this nigga's on PEDs is his play.
I felt, because we've seen 4 different versions of LeBron James.
Yes.
And
I think the best version was his second version in Cleveland, 28. But
we saw rookie LeBron growing up,
Heat LeBron
kept going to the finals. Then Heat LeBron was just diesel. Diesel was fucked.
He was on.
And if we was gonna test for PEDs, that was the time, brother. Then we see second stint at Cleveland.
Yeah,
he's still big, but he's starting to trim. He's starting to slim out.
Man. Yeah.
And then from there, now we got this LeBron, which I guess now that's really just three different. No, because I feel like now he's even more thin than he was after he got to.
It's about the same. Second stint in Cleveland. It's about the same. But that's what I'm saying. Like that Miami, for like, bro, they say.
Not Cleveland, LA.
So they say Bron came in the league at 250 and 18. And now people still think he's still 250 pounds. You think a nigga that's been playing basketball for 22 years, who grew up and he became a grown man. So as an 18-year-old child, he was 250. He got bigger. You're telling me he's still 250? I'm without a shadow of a doubt. When he was in Miami, he was playing no less than 280, 285, bro.
I believe that. And moving.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and so I'm not saying that you don't get there with that, but it's just, bro, I understand it. Like the NBA and ESPN, they've invested so much in LeBron. They wanted him, like he's the face. He still is, quote unquote, the face. That's why the league is struggling to find a new face. But you can't piss on me and tell me it's raining.
Yeah.
Like you can't show me something like this and I not assume or believe that this nigga isn't on PEDs or something. Yeah. Bro. To a certain extent. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be one of the best ever or a Hall of Famer without the PEDs, but it just depends on when he started that shit.
You over your 2-minute limit.
I know. I gave a Dre 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Not a real 2 minutes. Real 2 minutes, it'd have been over 2 minutes ago.
It wouldn't have been an episode if you didn't talk shit about LeBron.
That's not true. That's not true. But I will say this though. I do think more people need to take a page out of my book. All right? You know, don't see, look, man, y'all gotta understand, man. See, Stephen A should have came to me about taking shots at Bron, bro. I would have schooled, I'd have said, bro, listen, man, you can't mishap. Like you can't fuck, like he fucked up the other day and he said that Bron wasn't at Kobe's funeral. Bron was at Kobe's funeral. He just didn't want to be on camera. Yeah. Totally understandable, right? But he misspoke. But I know why he misspoke, because he was very adamant about LeBron not going to D Wade's a Hall of Fame introduction or fucking retirement ceremony, whatever the fuck it was. But LeBron didn't go. Mm-hmm. And Stephen A was like, that's bullshit. You should win. That's your man's. Like, when you retire, Wade's gonna be there. Yeah. When you retire, Melo's gonna be there. These supposed to be your boys. This is a dude you won championships with. Why weren't you there? Yeah. But I think he was so angry and so flustered with this week, he got his ideas fucked up. And I think he was really supposed to say, you didn't go to Wade's ceremony, but you know what I'm saying? But he really was at Kobe's shit, so he fucked up. I would have schooled him on that. Say, hey, bro, get you a script, write this shit down. Make sure you hit your key points. Because if not, if you fuck up anything, the social media is going to be on your ass. And as soon as he fucked up, social media was on his ass. like if this was a playoff series, he's down 3-0 right now. Yeah. Stephen A, you got to drop that nuke, brother. If you got any type of tidbits, information of Brian failing a drug test, failing any type of drug fest, whatever, you got to tell it now, bro, because you down 3-0. I ain't even gonna say you down 3-1. You down 3-0. Like, you got to drop the nuke, bro. You got to tell the world whatever it is you know. You got to speak on it, bro. You got to speak on it. But we'll leave that there.